All rise. Cosmic Court is now in session. The Honorable Universe presiding. The Cosmic Court now calls case number Cosmos-2026-06-D. The Universe versus Sterling, the sign of Capricorn. The defendant is charged with structural collapse under emotional pressure. Additional charges include chronic emotional fortification, mistaking control for safety, and refusal to be seen without armor. Sterling has been summoned to appear before this court because June 29, 2026 is coming. And June 29th is going to be the single most chaotic day of the entire month. Mercury stations retrograde. Jupiter changes signs. Mars squares the nodes. And right in the middle of it all, Sterling's full moon. A full moon in Capricorn, squaring Saturn, squaring Neptune, while everything around it falls apart. And that is why we are here. Sterling, cardinal Earth, ruled by Saturn, known to the court as the Zodiac's architect, the one who builds things that last, structures, systems, careers, walls, especially walls. On a good day, Sterling is the person you call when everything is falling apart. He shows up, assesses the damage, makes a plan, executes the plan, and never once lets you see him sweat. He is competent in a way that makes other people feel safe, and he knows it. That's part of the design. On a bad day, Sterling is the person standing in a burning building, insisting he's fine. Not because he's in denial, because admitting the building is on fire would mean admitting he built something that could burn. And Sterling does not build things that burn. That's his whole identity. That's the one thing he's sure about. So the building is not on fire. He's fine. Everything is fine. Move along. The court will now review the case file. Sterling enters June 2026 in a position that would make most signs uncomfortable, but that Sterling has been managing through sheer force of will. His ruling planet Saturn is in Aries. Saturn is in its fall in Aries. That means the planet responsible for Capricorn's discipline, structure, boundaries, and authority is operating from the weakest possible position. It's been this way since February. Sterling has been running the operation without full power for months and hoping nobody notices. And for most of June, nobody does. The early and middle weeks belong to other signs. Gemini's new moon, Cancer's Venus-Jupiter conjunction, Leo's Venus transits. Sterling watches all of this from behind his desk, managing, organizing, keeping the machine running, business as usual. But the cosmos has been building toward June 2029, and everything arrives at once. Let's look at the evidence. Exhibit A, the full moon in Capricorn at 8 degrees, June 29th. A full moon illuminates. It brings things to the surface. It makes visible what's been building in the dark, and this one lands directly in Sterling's sign. Full moons in Capricorn are about accountability, results, consequences. The question, what have you actually built, answered under a light you can't turn off. For most signs, that's a reckoning. For Sterling, it's supposed to be a victory lap. The moment the work pays off, the structure proves itself, the plan comes together. But this full moon is not a victory lap. This full moon is squaring Saturn and Neptune simultaneously, which means the two forces hitting Sterling at once are rigidity and dissolution, structure and fog, hold it together, and nothing is solid at the same time. The court wants Sterling to hear this clearly. The full moon is going to ask what he's built, and the squares are going to make him unsure of the answer. That uncertainty, for Capricorn, is the earthquake. Exhibit B. Full moon squares Saturn in Aries at approximately 14 degrees, June 29th. Sterling's own ruler is one of the planets squaring his full moon. That's not an outside attack. That's the foundation cracking from the inside. Saturn square the moon is discipline versus feeling, control versus vulnerability. The part of Sterling that says keep it together, fighting the part that's exhausted from keeping it together. This square doesn't create a new problem. It reveals one that's been there. Sterling has been running on structure and willpower for months, maybe years, and this full moon is the moment the invoice comes due. And because Saturn is in Aries, in its fall, operating without full authority, the discipline Sterling is trying to lean on isn't holding the way it used to. The old rules aren't working. The old walls aren't thick enough. The thing Sterling built to protect himself is the thing that's keeping him from getting what he actually needs. The court would like to name what that is. Permission to not be fine. Exhibit C. Full moon square Neptune in Aries at approximately 4 degrees, June 29th. If the Saturn square is the foundation cracking, the Neptune square is the fog. If the Saturn square is the foundation cracking, the Neptune square is the fog rolling in after. Neptune dissolves, it blurs lines. It takes the thing you were sure about 5 minutes ago and makes it feel like a dream you can't quite remember. Neptune square the Capricorn full moon is going to take everything Sterling has built, his certainty, his plan, his I have this under control, and soften the edges until he can't tell what's real and what's just habit. This is the transit that makes Sterling question things he's never questioned. Not big philosophical things, small structural ones. Am I doing this because it works or because I've always done it? Is this what I want or is this what I think I'm going to want? Is this stability or is this just stuck? Neptune doesn't give answers. It takes away the ones you had. And for a sign that lives on answers, on plans, on certainty, on knowing the next step, that's not confusion. That's vertigo. The court notes that Sterling will not enjoy this. The court also notes that discomfort and damage are not the same thing, and that sometimes the fog clears to show you something you couldn't see while the walls were up. One more thing the court wants on the record. June 29th is not just Sterling's full moon. It is the most concentrated day of cosmic activity in the entire month. On this single day, Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer. Jupiter leaves Cancer and enters Leo. Mars in Gemini squares the lunar nodes, and the Capricorn full moon squares Saturn and Neptune. Every other defendant in this month's docket has their evidence spread across weeks. Pearl's exhibits span from June 9th to the 29th. Castor and Pollux's run from the 12th to the 28th. Regulus's build from the 13th to the 30th. Sterling gets it all in one day. The court wants that understood. This is not a slow unraveling. This is not a gentle questioning. This is everything, everywhere, all at once, landing on the one sign in the Zodiac least equipped to handle chaos. Sterling can manage a crisis. Sterling cannot manage 5 simultaneous crises that are also squaring his emotional foundation while his ruling planet operates at minimum capacity. The court would like that noted. not as cruelty, as honesty. The court has reviewed the evidence. Sterling is found guilty of structural collapse under emotional pressure, guilty of chronic emotional fortification, guilty of mistaking control for safety, and guilty of refusal to be seen without armor, specifically for building an identity so dependent on strength that vulnerability became indistinguishable from failure. Sterling is hereby sentenced to the following. On June 29th, when the full moon rises in his sign and everything hits at once, Sterling is ordered to do nothing, not fix it, not manage it, not make a plan, sit with it. For one night, Sterling is ordered to let the building shake and not reach for the blueprints. The defendant is further ordered to say the words, "I don't know," out loud, once, to someone who matters. Not followed by, "but I'll figure it out." Not followed by a plan, just, "I don't know." Full stop. The court understands this will feel like a confession. It is. That's the point. And finally, the court reminds Sterling that the walls are intact. The court also notes that no one is behind them. Strength that no one can reach is not protection. It is isolation with a better reputation. The court is not asking Sterling to tear the walls down. The court is asking him to put in a door. This case is closed. Court adjourned.